welcome back. This is episode 23 of the Can You Geek podcast. My name is Steve, and this is Sid.
Hello.
We are short in Errane.
He's a little busy.
He is, and it's understandable. It's our first just me and you. This is why we brought on a third too, in case these situations came about. So.
Oh yeah. When you're getting ready for a baby, you get a little busy. I understand.
Oh, totally. That's the one nice thing about all of us being parents. We know how crazy life can be.
Oh, yeah.
So with that, I mean, it's been a busy week for all of us, I think, with me doing split shifts and you traveling.
Yeah, for me, it's more of just going back and forth to Oregon. It's not like it's a horrible drive, but it's just time consuming when I have to do it a lot.
Yeah, it's depending on how far in you're going, it's 4 hours, roughly.
It's 4 to 5 hours, yeah. It depends on traffic and accidents, too. There were accidents all over the place because it rained most of the time.
Oh, of course. We're in the Pacific Northwest. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. My house is currently under invasion of fruit flies.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Don't know what happened, but all of a sudden it's like fruit fly mania.
If either you or your wife drink wine, leave a little bit in the bottom of a bottle and set it like in the middle of your kitchen counter, they'll be gone in like a day or two because they'll drown in it.
Unfortunately, we don't drink wine, but we do have apple cider vinegar out. So
okay. Next best thing.
Yeah. So we got apple cider vinegar with like a banana peel inside it in a bowl that's covered with saran wrap with a bunch of holes poked into it. We've got like 2 or 3 of them in the kitchen, and it's gross, but one of the bowls already has like 100 of them in it. Like, we don't know what happened. It was like that we had nothing in our house, and then all of a sudden the next day we have like 1,000 fruit flies out of nowhere. So yeah.
Ugh. They're the worst too.
They are. It's so annoying. So we're not cooking today. We ordered pizza.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right. So I don't think we had any errors from the last episode.
I didn't hear any. I listened to it when I was driving.
Yeah, I was listening to it at work. So we're good there. Yay! We're on a streak of no errors, thankfully. We catch them in the episode and correct it, so we don't have to go back to it, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So today's episode is it's less organized than we normally are, which is funny because we're not a very organized show to begin with. We're just going to talk a little bit about random news things that have been coming up since the last episode and just, our thoughts on it. And wherever we go, we go.
Roll with it.
Exactly. So there's been a lot of Disney Plus news, actually, as it's getting closer and closer to the release, because it's November 12th, I want to say it comes out. The biggest one, I would say, is they're bringing back all of the Disney afternoon shows and most of like the Disney Saturday morning cartoons, which I got super excited about when I saw the list.
Oh, I know. Me too. I mean, DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin. Oh my gosh. These are all the shows that I watched when I was a kid.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to get my kids into it.
In the article, they even mention, like, it seems like Disney hopes to bring back all the classics from the parents' childhood to be more attractive to people of all ages. And it's like, yeah, duh.
Yeah, why wouldn't they? Like, that's a pretty smart move.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I think most of the parents, when it comes to like Disney Plus and like with Netflix, for example, like we have it and we have separate accounts, one for kids, one for adults, because it's just easier. Because what we watch is totally different than what my kids watch, and they don't want to see pop-ups of like scary movies because they're. But this is something that we're going to be able to do as a family, and I think that's awesome.
Oh, my son's going to love it. He's upstairs watching Aristocats right now. So.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, we watch pretty much all the Disney movies all the time. My daughter absolutely loves anything singing, and my littlest daughter now loves anything that's got music in it. So Disney naturally kind of falls into that.
That's just a natural choice.
Yeah. And I mean, they're bringing back the X-Men cartoons, which is going to be crazy because me and Errane reference them a lot on our shows.
I watched them all the time as a kid too.
Yeah, and so I'm really, really excited to watch them. I'm really excited to show my son because Dark Phoenix just came out on digital, and I was going to rent it and watch it with him, and he was like, "Nah, I don't want to watch that, Dad." And I'm like, okay, I don't blame you. And then, but the Dark Phoenix saga in the cartoon was really, really well done, and so I'm really excited to go through that whole series and then watch that part with him.
I wish I could remember it all. I watched so much stuff as a, like all different things as a kid, like, and I never watched the same thing every day. Like every day it was a different channel because I had to swap back and forth with Disney and Cartoon Network and Nick Jr. or yeah Nickelodeon
Yeah.
because with me and my brother we had to like take turns who would pick, so we were never watching the same thing every day.
Oh, that's what we do with our kids too. Is it's like, well, today's your turn, tomorrow will be your brother's, and then
Yeah,
it tries to minimize fighting.
yeah. So one day we'd be watching like Beyblade and Pokemon, and then the next day we'd watch like DuckTales and Tailspin, and then the next day we'd watch like Rugrats or something.
Yep. Yeah, I find my kids. So I was the oldest by 5 years in my family. Um, my middle sister was born 2 days before my fifth birthday,
Oh, nice.
and so I got to choose TV for most of my childhood. So I got to watch whatever I wanted to watch, which apparently ended up being a lot of Robin Hood.
Yeah.
And I remember G.I. Joe and Transformers. And I remember cartoons being a lot more mean when I was a kid, like the Transformers show killing Optimus Prime in one episode. They don't do those things anymore.
No, they don't.
So I'm excited to bring back the older shows to watch with my kids so they can see those horrific things. Yes, I mean that way. But well, the only show I can think of that's done it recently was the Pokemon movie when it first came out. The one in, I want to say 99, 2000, I think it came out
Yeah.
here. I worked at the movie theater at the time. And so my mom asked me to take my little sister, and because we're 14 years apart. And so I was like, okay, no problem. Have her come. I got off work at 4 in the afternoon. And then there was a 5 o'clock show. So I'm like, we get off work, we'll watch the show, and then we can go, like, I'll take her home after. And my mom's like, okay, great. She drops her off. I'm in uniform watching the movie with her. It was a pretty full theater. I want to say like 200 people. Out of the 200, there was about 10 adults. And when Ash jumped in front of the Mew and Mewtwo attack, and spoiler warnings, if you haven't watched the movie, it's been like 20 years, suck it up.
Yeah, right.
Ash jumps in between their attacks and he dies from the attack. And you see every adult in the room turn and look at each other with absolute horror on our faces, knowing what is about to come, because there's 190 children that are about to start crying. And that's the stuff that I was like, they weren't afraid to do that when I was a kid in cartoons, but nowadays they won't. And it was a great move. It made the movie so much better, but it was awkward being an adult in that theater.
Well, I mean, even in Frozen, though, like I was in the theater watching that, and there was a little girl sitting behind me. I think she was like 5 years old, and the part where Hans tells Anna, "If only anybody loved you," or I don't remember the exact line word for word.
Yeah.
The little girl just looks up at her mom and she goes, "Are you serious? What? No, that's not how it's supposed to go." And I'm laughing a little inside because to me, it's like I kind of expected that to happen. But
yeah, my daughter did the same thing like a few minutes later when Anna chooses to go and save Elsa instead of going to Hans. Kristoff. Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. She was like, what?
She wants to save her sister.
I know. That's what makes Frozen actually so good, is it's not about a boy saving it. It's the sisters.
Ugh.
Yeah. So with them bringing back all these old shows, just because I'm actually really curious to hear what you think about it. Because I personally think it's a great idea. So what Disney's going to do when they bring Disney Plus out is any of the old shows are going to be bingeable. All the episodes are going to be there from day one type thing, or when they release, they'll be available. But any of their new series are going to be weekly releases. So you're not going to be able to like binge like The Mandalorian, for example, which I am a little torn on because when it comes out, I'm going to want to binge it. Like I am. That's just the way I'm going to be. But I like the fact that it's going to make me want to come back every week on the same day and then download or watch it, stream it, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's pretty smart on Disney's part, to be honest. Like, I mean, how many people canceled HBO, when Game of Thrones was over? I didn't, because we watch a lot of the movies that HBO has on it anyways. So we still have ours. That, and I want to be able to watch Game of Thrones whenever I want.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those shows that I can watch a few times.
Rewatch a couple episodes.
But I think it's pretty smart for Disney on their new shows to not make it bingeable. Because Netflix actually just came out with a new season of The Ranch, and I'm not going to lie. The first chance I get, I'm going to turn that on my TV during the day, and it's going to be binged in a day because the episodes are like 20 to 30 minutes a piece, and there's 10 of them. It's going to take me like 5 hours.
Yep, and it's going to go. My wife does the same thing. Yeah, my wife did. I think it took her a day and a half to binge the latest season of Queer Eye.
Yeah, and then it'll be over, and then I'm going to have to wait another year for it to come out again.
Yeah, and that's where Netflix judges whether a show should be like re-signed for another year based on how many new subscriptions they get. They're not necessarily new subscriptions, but what happens is people will sign up, binge the shows they want to binge, and then they cancel until the new season comes out or something else they want to binge comes out. So then Netflix looks at those upticks in subscription numbers and then judges whether something that came out at that time is the reason for it, and then why, or whether they should do another season or whatever. And so I think Disney doing it this way stops that. Okay, everybody sign up and then cancel, and then sign up and then cancel.
Okay. Yeah.
And it justifies the pricing too being cheaper because they're expecting you to stay longer, not short term. Hey, let's sign up and then cancel again.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited for Disney Plus. It's getting close and there's so much on there. I'm really excited to watch.
Me too. We're going to cancel the Hulu Plus subscription that we have and then bundle it with Disney Plus. It's cheaper by a lot.
Yeah, which is smart. We don't have Hulu in Canada yet, which is the one nice thing about Disney Plus coming up here is apparently they've said Hulu will now be coming to Canada too. Mm-hmm. Finally.
Oh, that means I can't make any Letterkenny jokes yet.
Yeah. So I've just never really watched Letterkenny. I know it's weird. There's a lot of Canadian shows I don't really like, even though I'm from Canada. So like, I don't know. I find the stuff that does the stereotypical Canada when it comes to like sitcoms and everything more annoying than actually funny.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I think Letterkenny is annoying as all get out, but like some of the clips that I've seen are just hilarious. Oh, I've never been able to watch a full episode.
I have friends that absolutely love Letterkenny, and it comes across to me that it's like if somebody not watching or not knowing anything about Canada saw that and that's the way they think Canada is, it'd be the same as if people watched like Fargo and thought everybody from like Fargo, North Dakota was what America was.
Yeah.
And so that's it. It's just a weird thing with me. It's why I don't know. I don't really like Corner Gas, which is another Canadian show that people absolutely love. And I've never liked it. I don't know why.
I base most of my opinions on Super Troopers.
Super Troopers is pretty close. I finally watched Super Troopers 2, by the way, so I really can comment on it.
Finally.
Yeah, I absolutely love Super Troopers 1, and so I was torn. That's why I didn't want to watch Super Troopers 2 yet, is because I was worried. I was really worried, but it turned out to be a lot better than I was expecting.
Yeah, same here.
Some of those the whole locking the bear in the police station. Oh, that was so good. Or the paint them red, white, and blue and drop them off in the middle of the forest. I'm like, these are so good.
Oh man.
Oh, they did really well with that. I have to, the group that made Super Troopers, they've done some other movies that I haven't been the biggest fans of, but Super Troopers is just gold.
Oh, I know, it's my favorite. I've watched it so many times, I could probably quote the whole movie. Like, it irritates Rob to watch it with me. Because I start laughing before things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few series that I do that with. Speaking of Netflix, actually, before we move on, totally, it's not on our show notes. It's just popping into my head. If you like scary shows, there is a new series on there. It's French, but you can have English instead of French, or you can put it on subtitles if you want. It's called Marianne. We are about 6 episodes in. I think there's 10, and it is super good.
Oh.
Super creepy.
Yeah, I haven't even watched Stranger Things 2, like the second season of Stranger Things, because I am not a huge fan of that kind of thriller, scary type stuff.
I'm going to be the only one on the show then that is, so that's fine with me. I'm usually the only person that likes scary stuff, but my wife has lately gotten into it, so it's been fun for me because we're binging it together slowly. It's weird. The episodes are only 45 minutes long, but they feel like you're watching a movie because you're so like on the edge of your seat the whole time, and it's like, so yeah, like last night she fell asleep when we were watching a couple of the episodes because she was just like wiped out. And then so today she was catching up, and when I went to put on the next episode, she's like, really? We're only on episode 4? Feels like we've been watching this forever. I'm like, I know.
That's how I feel.
So I'm excited.
Boys.
Yeah. Oh God, I can watch that over and over though.
We haven't finished it yet.
Oh, how far into it are you?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
It's really slow in the beginning, and then I want to say about 4 episodes in, all of a sudden it changes, and you're sitting there like, oh my, what? How did I not see that? Or like,
yeah,
it just starts progressing so much more.
Yeah, we watched the Jesus Convention one. That's one of the last things I remember.
Okay, so yeah, you're starting to get to where things really start to happen, which is cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was next on here now that we're done with that day?
Yeah. The next thing on here was it kind of ties in. The next 2 things kind of really tie together. So the rumor is that we're getting more into rumors now versus like actual defined news. Is the rumor came out that Marvel and Disney are looking to cast Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye show. We already know that Hawkeye is going to be around him training Kate Bishop. Like, that's already pretty much been told, I guess, or been announced. But the news that they're looking at her to do it is interesting. So for those that don't know, Haley Steinfeld is the voice of Gwen Stacy in Into the Spider-Verse. She's been in Pitch Perfect.
Oh,
she's been in a few other shows
too.
Yeah, she was in Bumblebee movie.
I didn't realize that was the same person. Oh man.
Yeah. So she's actually done quite a few movies, and she's a really, really good actress. So I think she would be great as it. But what it ties into is the fact that the rumor is they're looking to make the Young Avengers into a Disney Plus TV show, which I think actually could be good because then you don't need to do it on the grand scale of like the Avengers movies, but you still don't let the Avengers initiative die. You still build on it, but you're slowly working in these newer characters while still having them interact with the old guard. So like Kate Bishop being trained by Hawkeye. You're going to have Miss Marvel, who's going to be probably interacting with a few people. She-Hulk is going to obviously be interacting with the Hulk. You can introduce other people, like in the Winter Soldier and Falcon show. You can introduce Iron Lad if you wanted, I guess, or there's like tons of people, because they've already been showing them in the like in the shows, like Cassie Lang, who becomes, oh, I don't remember her name in the
In the
comics.
article, it says Stature.
Yes. So in the comics, she's called Stature. She's like a mix of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, okay.
It's actually really cool the way her character is. So she has wings like the Wasp and can fly, but then is able to grow or shrink like Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she was a young Avenger. So they have like all these characters they were building up. The really big issue was they were building up Spider-Man to be the leader.
Yeah.
But with him being gone now,
which makes
they're going to. It does.
I don't
understand why.
Disappointed. Probably a good mix of both.
Good mix of both. Yeah.
Because Tom Holland was friggin' awesome.
Yes, and I mean, there's ways they can fill that hole in the Marvel universe, and there's other rumors that are. Like I was reading one, I didn't provide a link, but there's rumors that they're looking at making. So they've already talked they're going to do a Nova movie, or Kevin Feige wants to integrate Nova into the movies, which I think is cool. Nova's a really cool character. But the rumor is that they're looking now to cast Nova to be in Love and Thunder, and they were looking at doing a really young actor in doing it, and that was the kid from Stranger Things, the one with the black hair, the main.
Oh, I don't remember his name.
My brain is totally. I'm having total brain fart. But the rumor is they're looking at him to be Nova, which I think would be really interesting because he's really skinny, and so he can't be a big burly person.
Yeah.
So there's ways they can bring in a younger audience, or not even younger audience, a younger crew to be the Avengers, and then go from there, which I've speculated since the beginning they were already looking at doing, but it's nice to see again that my speculation might be right. As I toot my own horn yet again.
I was trying to look up the kid's name, but I don't even remember his name in the show. So
yeah, I will find it. I had it on my phone, so I'll just pull open my phone and look. But yeah, so along with all of this news, though, they just had there was an award show this weekend. It was called, my brain is not working. I hadn't heard of the awards before. It was in news to me. Kevin Feige was getting an award. It was the Saturn Awards. So on Friday night, the Saturn Awards happened, and Kevin Feige became the first ever recipient of the Stan Lee World Builder Award for the contributions he did in building the MCU.
Wow.
He pre-recorded his acceptance speech because he wasn't actually there to accept it.
Yeah.
But during that, he shared memories of Stan Lee and everything they've done. Officially confirmed that there's going to be what's going to be called the Infinity Saga box set, which I'm actually really excited for, which is going to have every movie from the Infinity Saga. And then he announced that they were going to be including archived footage from the Marvel Vault. And so what that is, it's going to be the cut scenes. Some of them he's not proud of, he said. Some of them are like total mistakes. Some of it's just joking. But it's stuff they recorded as well that they weren't allowed to use at the time or felt it foreshadowed too much. And the example they gave was, and they've released it to the world, you can find it on the internet, I will have a link in the show notes, was the re-release or a different version of the Iron Man end credit scene. So the very first movie that started the entire MCU, at the end of the movie, Nick Fury's in the room and you see him, and then he turns and he talks about the Avengers Initiative to Iron Man. In this version, he turns and says, if gamma accidents and mutants, he says mutants, and radioactive bug bites weren't enough, now I got to deal with like this, basically insulting Tony again, which he does in the other version. And it goes on from there. So they had written a scene in the very beginning that was already foreshadowing mutants, the X-Men, and Spider-Man, which at the time, as far as anybody else was aware, they weren't even in talks to get. So like my understanding was when Iron Man was coming out, like there was no word that Disney was even trying to talk to Fox to get those rights. And as far as I was aware, Marvel wasn't allowed to use the M word. Like they weren't allowed to use the word mutant. So this scene coming out now is actually really, really interesting.
Disney didn't even own Marvel yet. This was 10 years ago.
I thought Iron Man was in.
Iron Man.
I thought it was owned by Disney at that time.
I do not think so. Marvel didn't sell out to Disney until a couple years back.
Pretty sure. Oh yeah, they bought Marvel in 2009.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Iron Man was 2008, so.
Oh yeah, so it was before. But still, I didn't think Marvel was allowed to use the M word. So it's very, very, very interesting. I'm just quickly searching on my phone for his name.
Yeah, I'm torn. Like, I already own most of the movies. I'm only a few movies short of the entire saga to begin with, but now they're coming out with a box set with all of this extra, never before seen stuff, and I'm torn. I'm like, do I buy it just to get the extra stuff? Do I wait until and see if they're going to do like a little single DVD thing with all the never before seen stuff, or do I just wait until it comes out on like internet or something?
Yeah, because I mean, you know what's going to end up on the internet. People are going to rip it off the DVDs and post it. And okay, so the kid's name is Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's from Vancouver.
Yeah. Another one. Canadian, you're just taking over the world. But yeah, no. So his casting, I was really excited about. There's other rumors that have been coming out in the last little bit. Some of them being that, again, I didn't post it, so I'm just throwing you under the bus and going to have you talk about stuff without any links. So with because we're going back, it's to do with the whole Spider-Man not coming back thing. So the rumors that have been floating around that people seem to be talking about is with now pretty much officially Sony and Marvel divorcing and there being no Spider-Man in the MCU for the foreseeable future. Kevin Feige and Disney are trying to fast track X-Men and the Fantastic Four because they're the two bigger names really when it comes to the Marvel versus what they already have. Like they're doing really, like Shang-Chi's really interesting because it's a really small run comic. Like it's not super popular. So it's really cool. They're doing something with a smaller title. Same with like some of the other stuff they're doing. They're doing stuff with smaller known titles, which is amazing. And I like that. But I think they feel that they need the big names out there to try and help. Like they made the Avengers a big name. They weren't really a big name. And so I think now that they have big names, they're trying to really incorporate it. And so they're apparently fast tracking these things and trying to cast people really quickly. One of the rumors coming out is they were going to be crossing racial lines for some of the more traditional roles in trying to break away from everybody's perception of what has happened. And so one of the rumors was Magneto and Professor Xavier were actually going to be cast as more than likely African Americans.
Oh.
And one of the rumors was that Denzel Washington was being courted to try and be Magneto.
What?
I think that would be insane.
That would be epic.
Yeah. Like I don't have any issue with doing it that way. I know there's going to be people out there that are probably super upset with them doing it. Well, the comic was this way and that's the way it'll always be. But I think
Let them have
it could open up
creative thinking into it. Come on.
Exactly. Well, and the movies don't exactly echo the comics. Like if you follow the comics, yes, you can kind of like project some of that knowledge onto the movies and kind of be like, okay, they're going to go this way because they were kind of following it. But then there's so many different storylines in the comics because every time they release a new, like they do a whole new version. So like I spent the day to day at a local comic store. I went in trying to get the current issues of House of X. And unfortunately, the state of comics in today's day and age is there's no money for them to bring in new versions. So my local comic store, which is a 5-minute drive away, they only have old collectible comics.
Oh, okay.
If you want new releases when they come out, you have to subscribe. So I spent the day in there subscribing. Brought my 7-year-old daughter with me. We went in. It was actually really cool because they were it's not just a comic store, it's an entire collectible store, and they do a lot of tabletop stuff. So they've got Warhammer, a couple other really big ones. I'm trying to think of their names because we walked through the mini section.
Yeah.
And there was actually a Lord of the Rings tabletop tournament going on. So my daughter got to see like these grown adults playing with toys, and she was like, that looks really cool. And yeah, so I went in there, talked to him for a little bit about the comics, and he's like, unfortunately, yeah, it's all pre-order. So I gave him my name and number and said I wanted to pre-order. So I'm going to get, going forward, all the new House of X's, Power of X, and then the 2 new ones that I wanted, which were Excalibur and another one that I can't think of right now. But it's out of the 6 new X-Men worlds that they are joining together, I went in and ordered them. So thankfully I will be getting those probably, I think he said mid-October, my subscription will start. So I'll get everything in around then.
Oh, nice.
But what was really, so your son isn't old enough yet, but my kids they're into Pokemon cards, which is surprising that they're still a thing, but Pokemon cards at their school are still a pretty big thing. They don't really play the game. They kind of just all trade the cards around and they base it on what they think is pretty or what has the higher numbers. Mm-hmm. They don't know the intricacies of the game, which is fine. But while we were there, she was looking at all the different stuff, and they had a Detective Pikachu like booster pack set.
Yeah.
And she was being really good, so I was going to buy her something. But the owner of the store was like, do you like that? And she's like, yeah. She's like, Dad, look, it's Detective Pikachu. And he's like, well, you can have it. And she's like, what? He's like, I'll give it to you. It's free. And she's like, really? And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. He's like, no. He goes, I bought like 10 cases of them thinking they were going to sell really well. They never really sold. So he's like, I leave them on the counter. If people buy them, they buy them. But he's like, I get more joy giving them away and seeing kids being happy than... He goes, that's making it worth it for me. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, because she's super excited. So yeah, I'm super happy to, be supporting them. So if you're in the Vancouver area, it's Wiser's Collectibles. They're in Langley. I'm not sponsored or affiliated. It's just, they were a great place. They offer a miniatures painting course, like an introductory one, once a month. So my daughter asked about it and he's mentioned it. And so we're going to try and go in the future, which could be a very expensive hobby coming up, or I could really start making use of a 3D printer and start doing miniatures.
Oh yeah. Yep. That actually be a bad idea.
Yeah. The only thing is the type of 3D printer I have doesn't print miniatures as well as there's another type. So there's like 5 or 6 different types of 3D printers in the world. The most common one, which is what I have, is called FDM or FFM, which is basically it melts a layer and then adds a layer on top, and it's just plastic, and it's like just goes around and lays a layer on top of a layer based on the code it sends. The one that's really, really good for miniatures, which is what most people do, they also use it for jewelry, is called SLA or DLP, which is a light. So it's like a resin that's light sensitive. And there's the cheaper versions, which is what I would end up getting. It has like a cell phone screen on the bottom. So there's a cell phone screen and then a protective layer and then like a pool of resin and then a flat surface like the build plate. And the build plate goes into the resin and sits basically almost right on top of the screen. And then the screen will flash the lights on for where it's supposed to harden. And then so that'll harden, then it'll lift up and then go back down to the like just a tiny bit higher so that the next thing goes on top of that layer that just flashed and just keeps doing that over and over until the whole thing is built. And that's able to get a much higher resolution. So smaller details print nicer than my style printer. I can get my style printer to do semi-similar, but it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And the other ones can do it faster. So, but I mean, yeah, I can get one of those for cheap. It's just, I don't have the spending money yet because my wife just went back to work after mat leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, but I mean, that's most of the news stuff I was wanting to talk about.
Yeah, I don't really, I haven't really heard anything else either. This,
yeah, there's been,
the Disney Plus things I had heard about, but I'm glad you put the links in there because I got to actually read about them.
Yeah, I can't wait for Disney Plus.
I know, me too.
Talking about it with my wife.
I'm excited to be able to watch all my old favorite shows and then watch some of my favorite movies that I don't own yet that they're going to have on there. And yeah, I'm really excited for the Star Wars shows.
Yeah, I'm finally going to get to watch all the Star Wars shows, which is, I mean, it's great. So one thing I didn't put in there, but Disney released Disney Plus early in, I think it's Norway.
Oh, really?
Like it's out in Norway right now. They're doing a trial or something, like they're doing a test. And so they just released it free in Norway.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So if you have a Norway, I mean, we have a few people in Europe that listen. So if you're able to switch your location to be in Norway, you might be able to get it now.
Do we really have a few people that listen in Europe?
We've had 3 downloads, 2 from the UK and 1 from, I want to say Germany.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'll post that in our Discord and show you one of the cool things about Libsyn, which is who I use for hosting. They have a map of where your show was downloaded. So you can see what's going on, where it was downloaded and who's listening. Awesome. So I had a few people message saying that they were going to check us out. So we got at least 1 download from them.
I got some family members that are going to check it out now too. A lot of people didn't realize what I was doing.
I mean, I would like family members to start listening more, but I mean,
well, I don't think
my family is not the most techie, which it's a little bit of a drawback. So they don't really listen to podcasts.
Yeah. My grandma asked, "Oh, where can I watch that at?" I was like, "Grandma, it's a podcast, not like a TV show. You would have to listen to it on this app right here." And
yeah, I can set it up to download for you automatically.
And I told her, you know what, just have Randy help you, my little brother. Just have Randy help you do it. Yeah. I totally threw him under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to eventually have us do video versions of this, like where we record live, but we stream it out there. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Oh, it means I'd have to wear like not my pajamas.
Yes, it means, yeah, I would have to wear clothes. So that's eventually in the future is where we would like to get. I know Aaron's expressed interest in it just because we've all sort of like, me and him anyways have both streamed previously, and it would be a nice way to get back into it again, where we're semi-regularly streaming.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad thing. We do have a camera, a webcam that Rob tried to stream for a little bit playing Vigi games.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do it in a way that it doesn't have to use your guys' internet as much, which is nice. Because I've streamed a little bit, but I've done tech support for streamers for like 6 years. So as doing that, I know like all the encoding software, I know all the like little ins and outs. And so there's an app by a company called Lightstream.
Okay.
And so they have it. I'm trying to remember the name of it. They have an app built in. I'm actually just going to clicky clacky it and just do it. So apologize now for the keystrokes you are hearing. But it's designed specifically for interviews and stuff like that. I'm trying to figure out what they call it. I know it's just built into their thing now. But anyway, all it is it's similar like what we're using now. So we're using Zencastr lately for recording. So if you guys do notice a slight difference in the way we sound, we're trying a different process. It's similar to the way Zencastr works. Is what I would do is I would go in, set it up. I'd send you a link, and then you would accept the link, and it would ask you for permission to use like your webcam and your mic, and then it would give me that as an option. So then I could build a screen with like us sitting at like desks or whatever, where it's like our picture behind it. And then so it looked like you'd see like all three of us. Relatively easy, instead of what a lot of people do is they'll do like a video call in Skype, for example. And then say I was broadcasting it from my computer, I would capture those sections in Skype to be your guys' faces and put it on. So it takes that away. So it makes it easier.
Okay.
So I would probably say we would like more than likely try something like that. And then it allows us to be able to stream to any site we want. So we can do Mixer, Twitch, YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And then get our podcast on YouTube, which I don't know. I just feel weird putting an audio only thing on YouTube. It just seems strange to me. But I know there are people that do it. So that's why we're not on YouTube yet.
Yeah, I think that would be weird. Even like if I'm listening to music videos on YouTube or something, if it's just like a lyric video or, just a picture of the album cover or something, I normally skip it. So
yeah, it's weird.
YouTube is the home of videos.
It feels weird. Yeah, like that's to me is YouTube's videos. So if there's no videos when I go there, it just seems weird. Guest stars with the click of a link. Yeah. So, they call it the green room. That's what it is. So they call it the green room.
The only person who would really have to worry about not having fast enough internet is Errane. Sorry, throw him under the bus when he's not even here to defend himself, but he'd agree with us.
Oh, he would. His internet is absolute garbage. And that's part of the reason we haven't even thought about doing it yet, is because of how inconsistent his internet is, just even with audio only. So trying to add in a video stream would probably be a little bit hard.
And he probably wants to get a new computer before he does it too.
Yeah, I mean, his laptop would work because it would just be video. So that's the one nice thing, is it's not encoding anything on your end. It's just sending the video. So it's like just having a Skype call.
Okay. Yeah, his laptop would work fine too.
So his laptop would work fine for it. It's just his internet. Do you hear that, Errane?
Yeah,
we need to get you out of the boonies. I know your house is beautiful, but we need to get you away from the boonies.
Bus? There you go.
Yeah, it's coming. No, even Errane and I bug him about his internet all the time. And we talked about it on previous shows. Like, you could hear it in our first 2 or 3 episodes, how bad his connection is. It's gotten better. It has gotten a lot better. He has been working with his internet provider. The problem is, he is really, really far out of town from my understanding. Or it's a really small town. One of the two.
Radius. So
they
have certain zones for certain cities and stuff like that. He's just outside like the radius. So I'm pretty sure he's got satellite internet, So when you're out in the boonies like that, just outside the radius of your cables and stuff, and then you have to go to satellite internet, now you're just relying on weather and where the satellite's going to be to pick it up for you, all of that. Because our satellite
Yeah.
TV when I was a kid was hit or miss.
Oh, the wind blew the wrong way, and all of a sudden you didn't have internet. Yeah.
Or you had a thunderstorm overhead, and the cloud cover is just a little too much. Seriously, that was a thing.
Wow. I just got my phone vibrated, so I took a look. I just got it says breaking news, but it's a rumor that Marvel Studios is now apparently actively developing a Silver Surfer movie.
What?
Yeah. According to multiple sources, Marvel Studios is actively developing a Silver Surfer movie. The sources are unnamed, but yeah.
I did say that they were going to be fast tracking some of the other groups.
Yeah, like Fantastic Four and X-Men, yeah. And if they are moving towards doing Galactus as the big bad, which to me makes sense, and me and Aaron have talked about it, and I think we talked about it with you too. Yep. Galactus makes sense to be the big cosmic baddie in the future. You're going to have to bring in Silver Surfer. So,
yeah, I think even in one of the previous episodes, you and Aaron actually talked about like what the end credit scene would have been if they had one.
Yeah.
With Silver Surfer like overhead or something like that.
Or they didn't even have to be overhead. Just have Galactus turn to Silver Surfer and be like, okay, it's time. Like now we go deal with them. So I've always wanted Silver Surfer to be there. So I'm super excited. Really, really excited.
Yeah, that's going to be good. I like the Fantastic Four.
I did too. So that's another thing. I'm really hoping they release Fantastic Four cartoon because I want to watch all those again.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit shorter than normal, but I think this could be a good ending spot.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Alrighty. Well, this is a good first episode, just me and you.
Yeah.
So
shooting the shit, talking about a bunch of random stuff.
Exactly. I like it. We may have to do this a little more often.
I was telling Aaron like when we start trying out topic ideas or stuff like that, or a bunch of like random news stories come out and you're like, oh, we should talk about all of these things. Well, let's just do an entire episode dedicated to them.
And I think we could do that more often just because, I mean, the three of us just like to talk. So it's good. We just actually just start talking again instead of trying to stay focused on one like topic.
Yeah. Be free.
Exactly. All right. Well, with that, I am Steve, aka CanYouGeek on Twitter. That's Sid. She is Sid Stare on Twitter. Aaron, who's not here, is at Southam Designs. I still got to give him a shout out.
Yeah.
You can find us on Facebook with Can You Geek Podcast or Can You Geek Nerds. We're on Patreon. So thank you everybody for listening. We will see you in a week. Later, nerds.
Later, nerds.
Today's music is used by permission from the artist Broke for Free. The song is called Something Elated. You can find it on freemusicarchive.org.